Good morning, people. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Friday, good old Friday, December 24, 2021, and the time right now is 5:26 a.m. Again, my favorite part of the day. Oh, I got up around 4 o'clock. I made my tonic for wellness. I do this Ayurvedic treatment that I was um, what I was told about in a video. I take a tablespoon of ghee, that's clarified butter, and lemon juice, fresh from a fresh lemon, and I take that. That's the first thing I take. It's supposed to clear out blockages in your artery. I also did add a little bit of turmeric in it and some vitamin E as a added antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. So I'm to do this for a week. I think tomorrow is my last day. You do it for you do it for 1 to 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be the end of the week. I also, in addition to that, I take like a cup and a half of water and add some fresh ginger and garlic and cinnamon. Let it boil so that like a half a cup is evaporated. And then you add in like a half a lemon. Uh, and then you let it cool and you drink it. So I just drank that. So after half an hour, uh, you drink it now with some water. And so my water, I drink like a liter of water in the morning. Well, I put a little less in it since I already had a little bit of the liquid from the second mixture. So that one, the liter I drink, I put my minerals in that because I think I get mineral deficient. Because sometimes I may not eat, I eat what I feel like eating. I am, I eat a lot of veggies and things like that. Plant-based, I also eat chicken. So, I just feel that as you get older, we start to become more deficient in certain minerals because we don't absorb as much. So that's what I do. So I just want to make sure I get that. So, anyways, I just wanted to get that out the way. I want to talk about a sensitive matter. I want to talk about wealth within the Black community, and it's based on something that I listened to earlier today. No, it was yesterday. I'm sorry. It was a Black woman, and she shared about her growing up. She attended a high school. The first part of her high school was in a rich white community in Ohio. And then the latter part of her stay in high school was in a poor Black community. And she noticed the difference in the outcome of the people in the two schools. Now she's a very friendly person, and she acquired friends and acquaintances in both communities. And she noticed the outcome between the school in the Black community versus the school in the white community that's affluent. and just what seems to come with it. And that's the focal point that I'm going to address issues related to that. It does pain me to think about it, but I think it's important to discuss it this day and age because awareness, I think awareness will remind us as a group, and the whole thing is about the collective in this group. That's the main theme, I think, about what I want to talk about. Doing things in the collective, and sometimes being the Lone Ranger, you'll come out empty. You know, the numbers aren't moving, so I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try for it. Yeah, I can see the screen now. It was blank. Now it's up the screen. So let me just speak anyway. Yeah, it's you have to live your personal. You have to live your personal convictions. That's what's really important. When you live according to your conviction, your rules, your comfort zones, then so be it. So let me share with you again the details about this. These two schools that this woman spoke about yesterday in a program I watched on YouTube. She noticed that after graduating from high school, she noticed that there was a social difference between her friends according to which school, which community they came out from. Her white friends from an affluent white town in Ohio, they married. They married right after. In contrast, the black school in a poor neighborhood, none of them married right after high school. Now again, it's about personal choice, but I remember also this famous person, this famous black leader, religious leader, talked about something like this about wealth and the black community, and that these marriages are really like I'm using my wording, not necessarily exactly his wording. It's a business. Marriage is a business. It's about partnership. And that when rich white people marry, it's about obtaining, to build upon what you have. So you have one generation, and the next generation, they want to advance. Good morning, viewer. Good morning. Welcome. Just really getting started. So this religious leader made a point that the point of marriage in their community is not about just having a fling or sex. It's about building for that next generation to accumulate wealth, and then you pass it on to the next generation who will build upon that. It's like a business. And I never thought of it like that. I thought it's about love. Well, he talked about that too. He says it's not about love. If you love them, that's great. They get married not because of love, but you're combining forces. You're combining talents. You're combining names. Let's say you're marrying into a family and they have a legacy. They have a history. And you don't want to tarnish that history / your branding. your branding. Sometimes you get something because of your last name. Who are you related to? Oh, you got that last. Hey, you related to so and so. Oh, that's a good family name. So it actually precedes you. A good name precedes you. It builds up before you even arrive. And a bad name has the negative effect. That precedes you too. You have a bad family name. Sorry about that. I hope it's okay, it's running now. So I think it's very important in the very beginning, folks, especially those in the Black community, that, see, we cannot change our past, but we have effect over what we do currently. And you want to present yourself as a good name, a good family name, a good individual, because it will precede you. So before you even arrive in town, they might know about you and they'll wonder whether to avoid you or want to befriend you. While in the Black community of this woman who shared her story on YouTube that I heard about yesterday, the Black community, though, her Black friends in that school, the poor Black school, no one was marrying. And they didn't do as well. And so that legacy, how, you're not able to combine forces. Again, marriage is a business. It's not about sex. And I think many of us in the Black community, if they do marry, see, in actuality, in our community, in our Black community, we don't marry. Poor communities don't marry as much because there's really no, they're not combining forces um, to build upon. And it's just about the moment. It's about the now. It's a short-sighted vision. So whatever what feels good, do it. Remember, have any of you heard of that expression? If it feels good, do it. Yes, things could feel good for the season, for the moment, then after that, the crash. There's consequences for our behaviors. And I started thinking about my life, what community I came out from. See, we all are born into a community. Whether, good or bad, whether we like it or not, it has its effect. But awareness is I think, essential in this game and age. So what about me? Okay, I'm born and raised in New York City, third generation New Yorker. My grandparents came from the Caribbean, various islands. And I think back in my high school, none of the Black people that I knew married. I remember the first girl I heard that got married. She was a Hispanic girl, and she was just 18, and she married. I think she was still in high school, and no, she wasn't pregnant. It was right towards the end of graduation, and I remember hearing that she got married. I said, wow. Many of the Blacks in the school, you had, unfortunately, in that area in New York City, in Queens, you had a lot of, I mean, someone could be raised in a house, but there's a lot of anger and a poor mindset in the Black community, in the American Black community. Not. I mean, you had a lot of people from other countries, blacks from other countries, like the Caribbean. A different mindset. The back then in the 1970s, uh, the, there seemed to be a lot of anger within the American Black community and the uh, Black community from the West Indies. Different mindset. So basically, I'm really focuses on the American Black community, the women. It's a lot of anger I notice, and I remember the that even the types of classes that blacks and whites take or took back then were different. The advanced classes pretty much were for um, the Jewish population and the Asian population, and it just had a fragment of blacks that were in these classes. I was in one of those honor classes only once, but if you kind of slack, they're going to throw you out, you know. So I was only in an honors class for one semester. It was in a chemistry class. Uh, so I see now that once you get the privilege of being in an honors class, you better keep up the work. I mean, I did all my work, but I could have worked harder. And they don't give you much slack if you're a black person in these honor classes, okay? And they do give more points to the white counterpart because they want to keep their average high. So in competition with other children, they would get the leverage. I'm being real. I've seen these things, and I've experienced, like, let's say my average was a particular in the regular classes. Your average is, let's say, a B. They'll pull down your score and they'll give you a B minus. So what happened? Oh, I know you can do harder, work harder, so I'm going to take away some points. I kid you not, people. They're not good to people, black people. See, I don't want to say people of color. It's not people of color. It's black people. They don't do that to Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Filipinos in New York City. They don't do that. But if you're a black person, they may undercut you, the teachers, and say, "Oh, we're doing this for your good, so you work harder." I like to see someone do that to their paycheck, to the teachers in New York City. Let's take away some of their pay so they can work harder. Okay, well, anyway. Yeah, the types of classes that whites and blacks take. The blacks in general, sorry about that. I hope it's still going on. Okay. So right now, if okay, it's recording now. The numbers are moving. So what I noticed is that the remedial classes in that high school was really designed to house all these social undesirables, aka black people, street people, if they even bother going to class. And it's condescending. Once in a while, you can have some white people in there too, and it's usually something like edgy about them. I notice. So even some white people could be edgy, and then they fall into this same trap also. Um, yeah, so they talk down to you in these remedial classes. And see, what's misleading about remedial classes, you that the under what it's supposed to be is that at a slightly, at a slower pace, but you have to cover the same material so that you can get your Regents diploma. so you be able to get to the next level, college. But no, they're not designed for that. They're not designed to for you to just, to make it, to present it in a simpler manner so you get it, so you can graduate well, with your class. It's not designed for that. It's like a jail, a prison for you, and to remind you how stupid you are. That's what they want you to think. And I felt this. But in contrast, when I was in the honors class, they spoke up to you. And actually, it was simplified. The tests were really simple. But you got to know your stuff. Um, but it's a different environment. It's like they assume, oh, you know the material. Also, why even try to harass you? Just, oh, you're one of us. You're moving up. So they pull the slack off of you. I mean, they pull the pressure off of you. At least with this one class that I was in. And I noticed with the regular people class, the average, that they seem more edgy also in presenting the material. It's really interesting. Um, yeah, the whites, predominantly they were Jewish. You had some Italians. Yeah, you had Italians also. Uh, Asians of both type, East Asian and South Asians, and they're generally in the advanced classes. And they're told about different programs. That's another thing. They're told about programs, told about different types of scholarships. Um, they talk about SAT prep. Like the girl, I was friends with the girl that was in honors and extra honor classes. And she told me about, oh, I go to this thing during lunch period. It's for the SAT. So what is this SAT? Why is that important? I didn't have any concept about it really. Some of my friends were college bound. And so I joined the class, this SAT prep, so we can talk. Yeah, and yes, I got, yeah, it was interesting. I sat in front of her in class, and she was whispering something to me, but guess who got in trouble? I did, even though she's the one that's talking to me. And they threatened to move my seat, not hers, the one that's talking. That's another thing. That even if you have a let's say if you're a black person, you have a white friend. Oh, what's I saying now? See a glitch like that. But it's to protect. So if oh my goodness, I hate that when that happens. But when you're in the school system, you have to open your eyes to the politics. It's so smooth, and if you're not really paying attention, you're just gonna be bypassed. You're not. They're not about to have you advance to teach you about to inform some communities, I should say black communities of different programs. Like, hey, we have a class to teach you how to do well on the SAT, college programs, nothing like that. But I had, that's right, friends of different races and ethnicities. It's a very diverse school. And that's how I learned about some of the programs. So I think it's important to have different types of friends so it's like a supermarket. You have different foods in there, different nutrition. You know, you have all, you know, the apples, you know, the fruits, vegetables, you know, all different things. If you just have one thing, you know, it's not as empowering. Yeah, learning about other groups is very important for survival because you get access to information, different outlooks. And I think that helped me. And those people who didn't want to, or I should say people, but blacks who were not willing to have friends of different groups, I think they pretty much suffered because back then um, it was a lot of anger. It was a lot of anger, especially amongst the black women. Opportunities. I opportunities like I mean, some of the American blacks did okay. They were popular. Some of them were popular. I like we had this, you know, the school plays. It was like about three of them that were really popular. So you got to meet other types of people. What else? But outside of that, it's just a lot like in limbo. The resources, the prepping. See, high school is really about prepping you for where you're going to wind up. And if you're not in the inside, you don't get access to that information. So you're going to wonder why the split upon graduation, who goes to college and who doesn't. But again, college does not guarantee anything. Yet you had people who, I know of people who entered college and then they left. They say, you know, I want to learn a trade instead. You have that. So where does this all lead to wealth and stuff like that? And yeah, I was just giving a background of where I came out from, that I saw the distinction of what type of classes blacks were in versus non-blacks, and who was being prepared for college-bound stuff and who wasn't, and the atmosphere. I um, yeah, let me go on. I'm sorry, got distracted there. So about wealth and everything, I did mention earlier that I met one person who married while in high school. They just turned 18. Um, I never married, and I have no children. But I think back, um, who? Let's see. Let's see. I'm just thinking now. Yeah, the people. Yeah, but I had one white friend, female. Yeah, she married like I think 4 years after graduation, and two Puerto Ricans. They married also between 4 and 5 years after graduation. The black girl that I was in, Black American non-Hispanic girl, um, she, you know, she didn't marry, and in fact, she shared with me 2 years after graduating from high school that she was a lesbian, and I thought that was interesting. That was the first person. Oh no, my, I was going to say something interesting. This woman, now she was a nice girl, um, but she shared with me her story, and that type of lifestyle and thing, that was different. I wasn't used to hearing things like that. I thought only white men were things like that. That was my mindset. That's all you ever saw on television, white gay men. Um, but yeah, she was a dark-skinned black woman from a poor neighborhood. And I noticed a lot of I noticed you know, it seems like with like we had this model Congress in high school. And it seemed like, it just seems like people of the gay community, I know this is generalizing, but people from the gay community seem to be attracted to socialism, the women that in that lifestyle. So, and I remember in school, she was part of that also. She was in that that type of political party that begins with the letter C. I don't want to say it on this channel. It's just in hindsight, what I'm remembering now, not knowing about her background, what her orientation was in high school. I didn't really know about things like that. Um, but yeah, she shared with me 2 years after graduating. She came to my home, and we were just talking, and she shared it. Uh, I was also working at that time too. I mean, I had a job also at that time. And I worked with this black woman, and she was bisexual. She was married to a man, and she had a 6-year-old child. And then she passes a note to me that she's bi. I didn't really understand terms like that. And then she was trying to corrupt me. That was another thing. That particular person, it seems like people of that lifestyle, at least back in those days, this is going back over 40 years ago, they want you to be angry like them. That this seems to be anger and resentment. Even though she's married to a man, she says, well, we have an open relationship. So why am I mentioning about these things? I mentioned about, things from my experience and how a certain type of lifestyle could affect you. Now, as I made mention at the very beginning of this live stream about relationships, that in the affluent white community, those girls get married right after high school because they're building community, their community. Marriage is not about sex. Marriage is about business. You're combining forces between two households. Again, you get a job. Let's say the girl is a wealthy girl. Parents are wealthy, and she marries. Well, that husband might work for the father, and so you're keeping money in the family. Within, you hire from within to keep your resources. But if you don't marry, again, it's your preference whether you want to marry or not. I'm not trying to say you have to marry, whatever. I am not married. I never married. But I'm just showing how some communities work and the outcome out of those unions. That's all I'm saying. Your lifestyle is your lifestyle. You do what you feel comfortable. It's your journey. But how it can impact a demographics, a community, such as the black community. So in the black community, or what I was going to say, within the black community uh, versus rich white communities, there's no marriage. There is no marriage. And the people who got pregnant out of wedlock were people of color. I had a black friend, I had a Jamaican friend. They were all married. I mean, they were all unwed mothers. Getting pregnant and you're not married, that means you're not You're not living in a combined resource. Marriage is a resource. If one of you falls, the other one will help you carry you, so to speak. But if you're just on your own, that's more of a stress on you, and the outcome could be different. If you have a partner, a married partner, you're saying you're committing this relationship. So it's just something to fall back on. Um, a double cord is stronger than a single cord, right? That's all I'm saying. So the people that coincidentally, the people who got pregnant and they weren't married were black people. I don't know. I met one. She, I think, pregnant at the time. It was yeah. That's all I know. Just one girl. She was from a lower socioeconomic, and she was pregnant. I'm not sure whether she was married, but we it was a group of us to see a show at our old high school. 2 years, yeah, 2 years after. It was the same. Coincidentally, I was with the girl that shared with me of her orientation, and then the other girl, the white girl who was pregnant at the time. We both were alumni of the school, and we went to see a show and see it. I saw that she was pregnant. So what else? Yeah, none of them uh, were married, and one of them, I think, eventually married the guy that got her pregnant. They're still together. She has a Facebook, and see that they're together. She had gotten pregnant in high school. I think she was 15 years. Yeah, she was 15 years old, and had a baby. The other girl that I knew, she was 21, but not married, and she never married the guy. That particular friend came out from poverty. She that was a poor family. A lot of violence. That's another thing. Poverty and violence. And she said to me one day she didn't understand why she was screaming all the time. She would be yelling. Hear her down the road yelling. She says, I don't know. Yeah, we have to know why we do what we do. Why do we do certain behaviors? People are listening. And then you wonder why some people think that certain groups are crazy, or why they're afraid. So if you're always yelling and screaming, that's a sign of hostility. Could be perceived as a sign of hostility. And if someone's hostile, you stay away from them. So this could be a defense mechanism that some of us has acquired. So not being married and you're pregnant and you're young, that will put stress on anybody. That is not building wealth. That's not building wealth, nor could it build wealth in any community. It's a strain on your community, because then now someone has to kick in and help you survive. That might be through public assistance, or you staying with your parents and then they have to pick up the slack. It's a burden. But when you have two households combining through a legal marriage, you're saying we're going to build for the future. And they pass on their wealth to the next. So it's always building, but in the majority of black communities, what it looks like, and I'm a part of that community, that no wealth was really passed on. In fact, debt is passed on to many black communities. Debt. someone didn't pay a bill and then they died. Well, that next generation has to pay that slack, and so on and so on. It doesn't work on our behalf. And I notice another parallel, another thing, a characteristic with relationships in the black versus a white community or affluent community. What was that now? You may have um, a black person, let's just say a black woman. She may go to school, she may go to college. And I noticed though, like in myself, I'm a black woman, I never married. And it seems like black women who go into college, and I went to college and I stopped, went back, back and forth, but I eventually graduated. I noticed when you enter college, there's fewer and fewer black men in college. College has a lot of women, at least in New York City, a lot of women, and also I guess what your major is. In my master's program, it was overwhelmingly, like I would say 95% women or even higher. I was a nutrition major. But I think things like engineering, like that, you'll have more men. So opportunities to meet people, meet the person of the opposite sex, if that's your orientation, it gets fewer and fewer for black women. And New York City is a very racist city, socially segregated. Um, People, it's different from just saying hello to someone versus dating somebody and bringing them in your neighborhood. That is very few. So if you're spending all your time in college as a woman trying to improve yourself, the opportunities of meeting black men are virtually zilch. So it seems like college on a social level is um, not advantageous to black women. It was not advantageous for me at all. And the higher up you go, like I remember my first entry into college, 40, going on 42 years ago. Um, there were some black fellows in school. I remember there was some, but I don't really remember a lot, to be honest. And I remember they said one was sitting next to me in my French class. He was a nice guy. He seemed nice. Then he got upset with the teacher. Says, I'm switching this class. I'm going to take Spanish. You can pronounce it anyway. This because the teacher was being really picky. He felt about pronunciation. He said, screw this. I'm leaving. I'm going to take Spanish. Yeah. So he left. Um, yeah. I liked this school initially. That college. I initially liked. But I always wanted to go away for school. But things, college, especially when you first enter, it is like a rat race. People are positioning themselves. Some of them know they want to go into politics. So they pretend to want to be schmooze with you. I've seen that. Some might get into sports, and some might be into academic. But I think that's more so within the white community, at least back then. And in New York City, the school, yeah, it did have some black people, but I don't remember a lot of black men. The one other I met, he wasn't in my class, but in between classes, in the lounge or something, I remember meeting someone. Um, yeah, but it was a lot of everybody else. It was a lot of international students. Back then, it seemed like every foreign student was from France, it seemed. It was a lot of women back then in class, but there were yeah, there were a lot of women. Um, it was a blend. It was a good blend of different people, but just yeah, the so and yeah, so initially you have male and female, and then when you go up and advance in you know, from freshman to sophomore and junior, so on, fewer and fewer were black men. And the black men that seem to go to these schools in New York City, um, they're going in not for education to um, build wealth. It's about you know, meeting women to have a one-nighter with. That's all it is about. Get a girlfriend, but not about studying or anything like that. And I wasn't into, to be fair, when I entered college, it was just I entered because it was I thought expected me to go, but I really didn't know what I wanted. Yeah, it's I think important that if you go, but especially now, it's expensive college, and if you really don't know what you want, I think you're better off not going. Get a job, pay your bills. You don't want to get into debt. Don't get into debt. A student loan is a debt, and it's a bad debt. I would say buy everything cash, and save. And if you find that you like a particular thing, occupation, and if it requires you to get a degree, then do so then. But prior to that, no. I would say self-study. Buy books and teach yourself things. Okay, because see, college is overrated for the masses, and it's about extracting your money for this institution. I said, why give an institution something? Give yourself. Give yourself first. We worship these colleges and universities, and they really don't offer you anything if you belong to the masses. See, in my understanding, it's they know right off, like certain colleges, certain jobs only hire people from certain schools. So how fair is that? Only certain colleges hire. So everybody else, they're out of luck. So it's already pitting people to get in a particular industry over somebody else because of the school that they're in. They can have the same curriculum, but because they went to that particular school, you are out of the loop if you're not in that school. So yes, for the black woman who goes into college, as you advance, fewer and fewer opportunities for you to meet a man, your counterpart. But your white counterpart, it's a little different. It's more of their own socially, male and female. And so the opportunities of meeting people. So if you want to get married, if you're a black person, where are you going to find them? I said it's okay. She can get the black woman can get someone in church because we spend so much time in church. I know of people, black women that were in church all day on Sunday. Sorry, my fingers. They're in church all day. But who goes to church in the black church? Women and little children. So where's she going to meet a guy? And a lot of the guys that go to church now are members of what I call that alphabet soup people. Okay? So it doesn't seem to work. So is it just look at us. hey, I went to college. I growing up, I felt guilty initially that I had left school initially, college, and I felt bad that I didn't complete my studies. And I always felt it was because I see I had the belief that college meant job. It doesn't apply to you all the time. It does, so the rules don't apply to certain people. It can help with others, but it just seems to somehow the rules seem to change according to what your demographics is or demographics are. um, so why this why does this happen? Well, again, the black woman might go to school, and the black men aren't being groomed to be college bound. It's social engineering in our community, and they want the they put a lot of stress on black American men. The false arrests that happen. You could be just walking and you get a grab by the cops. And that has happened to someone that I know very close to me. They were walking back home and there was a crime in the area. A taxi driver got, um, what do you call it, held up by a weapon. And I guess the only real description was that as a black person. So the first black person they saw was this person who I knew. And they were surrounded by police cars and they drew their weapons. Oops, I'm not supposed to say that word. Luckily, that person had enough self control. See, they don't want us to have self control, they want us to be impulsive. But, honey, you better have self control if you live in a large city like New York City. You better have it. That macho crap that you see in those videos is fantasy and foolery. So, so yes, very detrimental. Um, so more of us, the black men. Sorry about that. The counter's not on, but I'm gonna still talk. Yeah, yeah, I said the wrong word, and it started glitching. I hope it's still I hope it's still recording. I hope it's still recording. But anyway, yeah. So there's a dichotomy, something that starts to work on us right away in our community. Sorry, okay, the number is rolling and the screen is on. Okay, sorry about that. More glitching. See, I keep forgetting that there are certain words I cannot say. I believe when you do these videos that there's like a control center and they observe everything you say and do certain keywords and boom, they're recording. Yeah, if they really want to find a criminal, they already know who they are. But you notice they're not getting them. So, anyways, yeah, so right away there is a division that happens to remove the black man from the community. So, false arrests, gangs that happen, and they pull them, oh, I'm not supposed to say that word, I think. It's still moving, but okay. They just to be a member of that particular thing could throw you in the, incarcerated. So this keeps on happening. Uh, Television for the past 45 years, 45 years, what do they show black men? Incarcerated, gang member. And so that is conditioning, socially conditioning the black male to believe that's all they can be. But you notice now they're introducing the what I call the alphabet soup. Sorry, it keeps turning off. Hope it's the numbers stop, but the screen is still on. I'm gonna go for it. But yes, this is a trend now. I don't know, I don't want to say trend because that makes it sound as positive. I don't like it. That is not how a community thrives. How could you thrive when you're not interested in your own, your the opposite sex? Again, your orientation is your orientation, but when it's done because of being socially engineered, you're being socially engineered to think like that, to have that lifestyle. So the results, what happens in communities when people don't marry, they have illegitimate children. Um, how could you support? The benefits of having a partner, a committed relationship. It doesn't do well. It doesn't. So there's a lot of I one of the few black girls from high school that didn't have a child. She's still not married and no children. She was a very advanced. I mean, she was brilliant. You had some smart black women, um, but it seems like there's a price to pay. This is very important. Maybe it might be a little different now. I mean, but 40 something years ago, it just because let's say you're a smart black girl, and you graduate, you get a job, um, you're most likely going to be working with other other white people, especially if you're advanced. And back then, it was discouraged black and white unions. It's not like today. I mean, maybe today it might be a little better, but a black female and a white American man, um, they don't like us at all. And so, where do you go socially? I mean, she had other friends. She kept in contact with her high school friends. So I'm happy at least she had that. And so, yeah, so it seems like the black women that finish college, that not gangbangers, um, we're single. And, not, um, we're not married, we don't have children, we live alone. And part of that makes me a little sad, to be honest. It's what seems to socially, what the consequences are to go to school, to be focused. It's a price to pay. It was a price to pay to go to school because you're not being socialized to have your male counterpart with you. He's non existent. And um, let's see, in the master's program that I completed, I met one black person, and then if you want to consider Puerto Ricans black, he was a person of the alphabet soup, and yeah. So I don't know how much community building that could do for our community, but that's what it was. This is my experience. And I have a feeling this is what it's like in other major urban cities. So the wealth. So if you marry young and you put your forces together, you've accumulated, and then you can pass it on to the next generation. But if you're not in a relationship, you're not married, or you don't have children, um, you weren't able to build upon, and it's nothing to pass on what wealth you do have, and this affects everything else. Racism in America stinks. It really stinks. And I'm thinking about the same woman that initiated me to even do this live stream. She's a black woman from Ohio, and she shared, I felt her pain. She's a dark skinned black woman, big boned, and very tall. And she said that she walks around. Now, she sounds like a very highly intelligent woman, and she's in her 40s. And her channel, I'm not going to give the name of her, even though she publicly shared her story, but I do not want to give the person's name. Part of, privacy for her, but she openly shared her story. Um, I felt her pain when she was saying that she walks in life, and she's very out. I mean, she's very loquacious. I mean, she can talk, and she smiles and everything. But she said she walks through life, and people don't see her. They don't want to see her. This is what she's telling us, and that she seems like a real social butterfly. But again, she was the same lady that went to a rich white school, high school. She had an opportunity. She went to two high schools. The first part of her high school was a rich white community, and the other was a poor black community school. So it was two high schools she went to, both polar opposites. They didn't see her. She was perceived like a ghost, even though she stands out physically. I mean, she's tall and big, very well poised. She speaks very well, but she says, as it comes to dating, they didn't want to date her. They didn't want to talk to nothing. Yet she seems like a very nice person, and I feel badly. And she shared her story openly, and I admire her bravery to share her story. And I know how she feels. I mean, I would imagine, in contrast, like she probably had it much worse than myself. I'm much older than her, actually. I am 12 years older than her, so we're from a different generation, but it was still, still pointed. Um, yeah, the dating scene, like, so she'll probably be like a dating age that's in the early 90s. Yeah, things racially was very extreme in the black and white relationships in the United States, in big cities. It was horrible. And yeah, you are like taboo. The black woman is taboo in America. Even though the black American woman, we work very hard. And this is to, I think, they want to wear us down. But there's a time and season for everything. And what you do to people, and people who love America. I love my country. I am American. I love my country. But Like they say in the song London Bridge is falling down with, see, when you do wickedness upon individuals, the chicken comes home to roost. And I do not wish any harm on anybody, any innocent people. I'm not about that. But I'm thinking about women like this particular YouTuber who sounds brilliant, well spoken, um, and for her to say that when she walks in life in America, that people, meaning men, don't find her attractive. They don't like her or something. But she mentioned that when she went overseas, that the doors open up. And then, she went to countries where the people would be a little taller. She's been to Europe and Asia. I think and she's been in South Africa. And people treat her differently overseas. So what the phenomenon that's happening in, okay, it's on now. Yes, so it's sad what this country does to innocent people who help build this country. It's sad what socially happens to us. Um, but this particular YouTuber, she had the opportunity to go overseas. And people, America's not the world. And you may not want to do what, you may not want to admit it. But for you to get that relationship, you may have to go outside of the US to find your significant other if you're a straight woman. It also seems like a lot of the alphabet soup. Sorry, my battery's going low. It seems like a lot of women who do go overseas, many of them are from the alphabet soup community, to say it nicely. But for the straight woman, you may be forced to, when you travel. I mean, go to places you think you would like, and you may have to find your significant other outside of America. Be willing to maybe learn a different language because now, the war is on. The war is on us socially. They're doing tremendous amount of social engineering within the black community. Where I live in New York City, I really don't see black men of marriage quality. You have the drug dealers, and you have the alphabet soup boys, as I call them. They're out of their mind. They wear these wigs, makeup. They're out of their mind. And we're influxed by illegals. And so they're taking resources and they're being hired for jobs that we can't really get. And no, this is not a bashing of people who are foreign born. All my life, and most of the people who I associated with were people from other countries. But the dynamics now of weaponizing people from other countries to uproot Black America, that is the trend. Yeah, so there is a difference if early in life you do not hook up and marry and building upon two households coming together to form an empire, so to speak. I didn't have that privilege. And some things, I think I like being single. I know that, you know, sometimes some women might feel forced to get married because they don't want people to think that they are from the alphabet soup community, or that some cultures is considered an oddity if you're not married. You're considered like a disease. There's something wrong with you. But um, early in life, I said to myself, I like my freedom. I like my freedom to come and go. And I saw that certain limitations as a woman when you get married. Men have more freedom when they're married, in a sense that they can, they could come home, have their wife cook and clean for them, and they could go out with their friends. The woman has to stay at home, take care of the kids. But again, it's what you want to build. If you want to build an empire, so to speak, you got to hook up with someone with the same mindset and build and have children and pass on your inheritance onto them. While others, they might know, hey, I don't have that discipline for that. I'm a loner. So that's good too. I mean, it's about your personal path. Your personal path is one thing, but about the community as a whole is something else. And how some things may work for one group one way, marriage in one group may be beneficial. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, the screen is on, but the counter's not moving. Yeah, I have to sign off soon because the battery is getting low. But yeah, I hope I am making sense about this this dynamics that happens with the resources that happens within the black community versus white and non-black communities. It's a difference, and it's a difference that is being cultivated from the very beginning. Even what kindergarten you go to, what schools you go to as early as that. Who are you going to meet up? Are you living in a society that they don't want you to hook up with people from your community? Start noticing, is that what's happening to you? See, I took it for granted. I just took life as it went. But I see now as an adult that from the very beginning, well, not that big, not I mean, maybe not as much now, but um, I mean, that by the time, yeah, elementary school, uh, a lot of violence, and junior high school, people are dropping out, people getting into drugs, people getting into gangs. So it's a way of separating you. Really, try to notice this if you are a member of the black race or West Indian living in America. Do you see this trend? Your kids in elementary school, you see things that certain groups are in certain programs and others are in the slower program. Start noticing. If you see disparities in your child's school, start noticing and go to that principal and say, hey, I want my kid to have equal access. Do you see them by the time they get into high school? Are they being groomed for college? Are they meeting people of the opposite sex that they could potentially marry? Or how about, let's say they get into college? Is there a college for them? Like my parents, they met in college. But now, let's say black people go into college now. Are they meeting other black people that they could potentially marry? Male-female relationships. If there's no opportunity for them to meet people of the opposite sex, in college. Maybe that's not the right college for them. Many people meet their partners in college. But now you do have these dating apps. So it's just certain things to consider. And yeah, th- try to find out what you really want in life. Do you want to community build and pass on a legacy to your children, to your community, or you're just going to flounder? These are just things to consider in life as you have your own journey. Again, it's about what you want in life. I can't tell you what you want. Some people don't want to marry, some people do. But whatever it is, more honor to you. What you choose for your personal wellness and happiness. Yeah. So there are things going on behind the scenes. What's happening within the Black community is by design, that is done upon us. And now it seems like the trend is, that they are rewarding blacks, black women now, if they are a member of this particular lifestyle. Look at the political parties. I mean, the Democratic Party in particular. Who are these people with? What are the, what, okay. So the window, it was just buffering, the window was on, I can see the screen now. Okay, yeah, I have to, it's buffering again. They're rewarding women, black women, who are in certain types of relationships versus others. So they say, okay, we're not going to put you in a heterosexual relationship, and we're going to control you. Notice who they're married to. They're not even married to people, you marry who you want to marry, or you date who you want to date. But I'm just showing you what's happening now. That they're rewarding those who don't want to be in a heterosexual relationship, and they promote them into positions, and even the men too. It seems they're rewarding the black man who's in the alternative lifestyle, as they say. This is also um, designed to decrease the numbers of our community. But again, your lifestyle is your choice. But just see the trends, what's happening. Evaluate what's the best for you when you have a child. Get involved in your child's life if you have children. What career path? What life path? Choose a life path that is comfortable for you. And know that what could be blocking your goals, such as what happens in high school, what I mentioned, that they separate people, and it's designed to make one college bound and one to keep them behind. And about opportunities of dating people, meeting people, networking. You only can marry who you know, who you meet. And if you're not meeting anybody, this is some of the problems that happens within the black community, especially black women. Black men are are put into prison, and the women have to really fend for themselves. Start speaking out against this. Start speaking out against this. Talk about these things in church, and how to reconcile these things. Empower yourself. Be aware what's going on, and if all else fails, people, you may be forced to go outside of the United States for basic happiness. Okay? So I thank you all for listening. Peace, love, joy, and power. to you all. And those of you who like this content, this is designed to make you think. You could PayPal me, and the link you'll find on my channel, Spirit Journey channel, on the top right of the banner of my channel. You'll see the PayPal me link. Just click on the link and follow the prompt. Any amount would be greatly appreciated. Peace, love, and joy to you. Yes, today is Friday, December 24, and tomorrow is Christmas. And for those of you who practice Christmas and, or happy holidays to everybody, whatever what traditions you follow. Peace, love, joy, power, and happiness. Play it safe. Be safe, people. Be safe. Thank you again for listening. Bye bye.